Patton was walking through a liberated POW camp when he smelled it. Cooking meat. Rich, heavy, real steak. He stopped. Looked through the window. German guards sitting at a long table, eating steak and potatoes, laughing, 50 feet away. Behind barbed wire, American soldiers were sitting in the dirt. Starving, watching. Patton's jaw tightened. What he did next took less than an hour, and the guards never forgot it. April 1945. Stalag 7A. Moosburg, Bavaria, 40 miles northeast of Munich. The camp had been liberated 2 days earlier. American forces had secured the perimeter, disarmed the guards, started processing nearly 1,800 prisoners of war Americans, British, French, Russians who had been held here for months, some for years. The paperwork of liberation was underway. Rations were being organized. Medical teams were working through triage. Transport was being arranged. The German guards hadn't been moved yet. They were still on site, disarmed and confined, but still eating from their own supplies, while the American army sorted out the logistics. Nobody had stopped to ask what those supplies looked like, compared to what the prisoners had been eating. Nobody until Patton walked past a window and smelled something that didn't belong in a POW camp. What he discovered in the next 10 minutes set off one of the most precise acts of justice in the entire occupation, and it didn't involve a single weapon. To understand what Patton was looking at through that window, you need to understand what had been happening inside Stalag 7A for the previous 2 years. Major Frank Collins, the officer overseeing the liberation, had briefed Patton on the basics as they walked the compound. 1,500 American prisoners, most in serious condition, malnourished, some too weak to stand. Men who had been captured in North Africa, in Italy, on the beaches of France, and brought here as Germany started losing ground and needed somewhere to put them. Patton asked how long they'd been eating poorly. Collins hesitated. The daily ration, sir, it's been approximately 600 calories. Sometimes less. Patton stopped walking. A grown man needs 2,000 calories a day to function. A soldier under physical stress needs more. These men had been getting 600 for months. Some for years. What does 600 calories look like? 1 ladle of soup per day, sir. Mostly water. Some potato peels. A few pieces of turnip. Bread twice a week. Small portions. Patton said nothing. Kept walking. Then he smelled the steak. He stopped at the window of the German guard barracks. 8 former guards. Sitting at a long table. Completely relaxed. Because for them, the war ending meant relief. No more front lines. No more fear. Just wait here while the Americans sorted out the paperwork, eat your meals, and eventually go home. The meal in front of them was not difficult to read. Real beef steak, not horse meat, not scraps, actual quality cuts. Fried potatoes. Fresh bread with butter. Steaming coffee. One guard was laughing at something another had said. Patton turned from the window and looked across the compound. 50 feet away, behind barbed wire, American soldiers were sitting in the dirt. Some were lying down, not resting, too weak to sit up. Their clothes hung off frames that had lost a third of their body weight. A few were watching the guard barracks in silence. Not with anger. Too exhausted for anger. Just watching. Patton called Collins over. What are those men eating? Sir, we're working on getting proper rations distributed. But it takes time to what are they eating right now? The same soup they've been getting, sir. We haven't been able to reroute supplies yet. Patton looked back at the window. Get every guard in this camp. In front of the American POW section. 10 minutes. What Patton is about to do has nothing to do with punishment for punishment's sake. It's about something more specific than that. Keep watching. Before the guards were assembled, Patton walked to the camp kitchen. The guard who spoke English led him there, a small, poorly equipped building separate from the barracks. A large pot sat on the stove. Patton looked inside. Soup, if you could call it that. Water with potato peels floating near the surface. A few pale bits of turnip. No meat. No fat. No protein. No color. How much does each man get? 1 ladle. Her general. Once per day. Patton looked at the pot, then at the guard. And you've been eating steak every day while they got this. The guard shifted his weight. We were not prisoners, her general. We were guards. We had different rations. Different rations. Patton repeated the words slowly, like he was testing their weight. Then he walked back outside. 23 former German guards stood in a line, facing the barbed wire fence, facing the American prisoners on the other side. The Americans had noticed the commotion. Some had stood up, those who still could. Others watched from where they lay. Patton positioned himself where both groups could hear him clearly. These men are American soldiers. They were captured in combat. Under the Geneva Convention, they are entitled to the same rations as the soldiers guarding them. The same food. The same treatment. He let that sit. You have been feeding them watery soup 600 calories a day while you ate steak. While you lived in comfort. While you laughed over dinner. The guard stared at the ground. That ends today. He turned to Collins. Major, from this moment, these guards eat exactly what the American prisoners have been eating. The same soup. The same portions. One ladle. Once a day. Yes, sir. The American prisoners eat what the guards have been eating. Every supply those men have been hoarding, the steak, the potatoes, the coffee, the bread, all of it goes to my men. One guard spoke up through the translator. There weren't enough guard supplies to feed 5,500 prisoners properly. Patton looked at him. Then the Americans will share what there is. But you, he pointed at the line of guards, get exactly what they've been getting. For as long as it takes to get proper supplies here. Maybe a week. Maybe 2. He stepped forward. You want to know what it feels like to go to bed hungry? To watch someone else eat while you starve? You're about to find out. The American prisoners were led to the guard barracks. To the kitchen. To the storeroom. Crates of potatoes. Sacks of flour. Tinned meat. Real coffee. Sugar. Salt. Butter. Men who had been starving for 2 years stood in front of it and didn't know what to do. Some started crying. Some just stood completely still, staring at the shelves like they were looking at something they'd stopped believing was real. Sergeant Mike O'Brien was among them. He'd been captured in Tunisia. 2 years in camps. He'd weighed 170 pounds when he was taken. He weighed 110 when Patton's forces arrived. He described the moment later. I thought I was dreaming. We could smell their food every single day, steak, real food, while we got nothing. Some guys talked about it constantly. Some guys refused to talk about it because it hurt too much. He paused. And then within 1 hour of Patton walking past that window, everything switched. Everything. The medics moved carefully. Too much rich food on a starved body could be lethal. The digestive system shuts down. Can't process it. So they started slow. Small portions of real meat. Mashed potatoes. Bread. The men ate carefully. Methodically. Some couldn't keep it down at first. Their bodies weren't ready. But they tried. Across the compound the guards received their soup. 1 ladle. They looked at it and some of them, for the first time, understood the arithmetic they had been living inside. If this story is landing the way it should, subscribe to WW2 Forgotten Frontline and hit the like button. It's how this channel reaches the people looking for exactly this kind of history. Patton stayed for 3 days personally overseeing the transition. On the second day, one of the guards approached Major Collins and asked for more food. The soup wasn't enough. Collins brought it to Patton. His answer was brief. Tell him he's getting exactly what American soldiers got for months. If it's not enough, he should have thought about that earlier. The guard got nothing extra. On the 3rd day, a guard asked how long this would continue. Patton answered personally. Until proper supplies arrive, or until you understand what you did. Whichever takes longer. The Red Cross supplies arrived on day 5. Proper rations, medical supplies. Transport arrangements began for the American prisoners. The guards were transferred to Allied POW camps, fed properly, housed properly, treated according to the Geneva Convention. But they never forgot the 5 days. Years later, one of the former guards agreed to be interviewed. His name was Klaus Berger. He'd been 23 years old at the time of liberation. I told myself we were just following orders, he said. The Americans got prisoner rations. We got soldier rations, that was the system. I didn't think about it much. He stopped. But when Patton made us eat what they'd been eating when I went to bed that first night with my stomach completely empty, I understood something I hadn't understood before. We weren't just following a system. We were starving men deliberately. And we were eating well while we did it. He looked at the interviewer. I deserved those 5 days. We all did. Sergeant Mike O'Brien went home to Chicago. Got married. Had children. Watched his grandchildren grow up. Before he died in 1998, he gave one final interview about his time as a prisoner of war. The interviewer asked whether he'd wanted revenge. Whether he hated the Germans. O'Brien shook his head. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted to be seen. I wanted someone to acknowledge what had happened to us. Patton did that. He walked past a window, smelled something that didn't add up, and within an hour he had made it right. Not with cruelty, not with violence. He paused. Just with justice. Basic, simple justice. He made them understand. And that mattered more to me than anything else. The camp at Moosburg was eventually closed. The buildings came down. Today there's a simple stone marker listing the names of prisoners who died there. It doesn't record the 5 days when the guards ate what the prisoners had been eating. But the men who were there remembered. They told their children. Their children told theirs. About the general who walked past a window, smelled steak, looked through the glass, looked across the compound, and decided in under 60 seconds that this was going to be corrected. Today, right now, without paperwork, without a tribunal, without waiting for anyone's permission. Sometimes justice looks like a courtroom. Sometimes it looks like one ladle of watery soup and a guard staring at it. Finally understanding. Subscribe to WW2 Forgotten Frontline, leave a like if this story hit differently, and tell me in the comments, was what Patton did justice, or did it cross a line?